I am Emily Czaplewski. The date is July 11th, 2016. I am in West Allis, Wisconsin, and I am going to be conducting an oral history interview for 4-H with Mrs. Cindy Spoerl. And Mrs. Spoerl is in, I'm sorry, where are you located in?
Well, actually, right now I'm in Wisconsin Rapids with a very sick mother. So.
All right. Yes. So we are doing this over the phone, and the purpose of our interview is to discuss Mrs. Spoerl's long involvement with 4-H in Waukesha County. And I belong to the Cleveland Challengers 4-H Club, and Mrs. Spoerl is the general leader of the Cleveland Challengers 4-H Club and has been for many years. So, first of all, I just want to start off by talking about what 4-H is. So, in case anybody reading this interview doesn't know what 4-H really is, if we can just go over that briefly. So how would you describe 4-H to somebody who didn't know anything about it?
4-H, okay. Well, it's basically teaching children, number one, on how to express themselves, how to be able to talk in front of a group, how to maybe at some point, half the children are very, very shy. You go through different steps. We also teach them to go ahead and how to be able to run a meeting, how to set it up, have fun, and learn how to make things, and just enjoy life.
All right. So how long have you been involved with 4-H?
I would say about well over 30 years.
So were your kids involved in 4-H?
Yes. Okay, how I basically got started, it was my son, who was 9 years old, who said, "Hey, Mom, there is a meeting going on, and I'd like you to come." He was brought in by a neighbor. And I said, okay, and then I came to the meeting. And the very first meeting, I'll never forget, was a young lady ended up talking about her pet rock. And it was what she would do, how she would take care of it. And she was talking in front of maybe about 10, 15 kids. And at the point, I never could talk in front of a group. And I said to myself, this young child can go ahead and do it. I would like to know how to do this. And this is how I decided to get involved all over a pet rock.
There you go. So 4-H, you can make a project out of anything. That's
right.
Great.
And you can talk about anything.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely super. And I did not know how to talk in front of a group. And this is how you learn, and you just have fun. And I will tell you right now, from all my children and all my grandchildren, they all know how to have a pet rock.
That's great.
Mhm.
So what is a favorite memory that you have from club events? Like, is there anything that sticks out in your memory from various club events throughout the years?
Oh, I can't say enough. Number one, that's, the pet rock thing. Because after 30-some years, it seems like every year there is a certain, especially when I look at pictures and things like that, there are tons and tons of memories. Mm-hmm. The animals, that kids would bring in, who would think of having a rabbit that you can raise in your own house? That was interesting. Going camping, a lot of overnight camps. We never did take tents, by the way. We never had tents. We normally found buildings that we could sleep in. Being able to actually walk on ice on a lake, that was a real neat experience.
Yeah.
Let's see, camping, of course, all the many trips that I have taken, like going to Madison, let's see, going to Atlanta, that was an outstanding trip, going to Washington, D.C., another outstanding trip.
How many times have you been to Washington, D.C.?
Twice. I've been to Washington, D.C. twice.
And
yes.
were those both with the Citizenship Washington focused 4-H trip?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. That was, and I do hope to be able to go. I think everyone should go to Washington, D.C. at least once and explore the town. It's just unbelievable.
It is. It really is. And I remember I've been there 3 times now, and the first time that I went, I remember, I think it was right before I left actually, and we had a club officers meeting that night. And I was talking to you about the trip, and you said, once I go there, I'm going to want to go back. Like, one time isn't going to be enough. I'm always going to want to go back to Washington, D.C. and just keep learning and, going through the town and exploring more. And that's definitely true.
Yeah, so. Yes. And then that's the other thing that's very nice with 4-H, that we do have headquarters there. So we always do have some place to stay in Washington, D.C. Very nice headquarters, the whole bit, and so that's nice.
Yeah, it really is. So what are some positive changes that you've seen happen throughout your years with Waukesha County? I'm sure a lot of things have changed. Some things have stayed the same. But what are some of the positive changes that you've seen happen?
Oh, positive changes. Okay, well, of course, as kids grow up and end up, what is really, really nice is to see that the kids that were in high school and continue with 4-H, it really does affect getting into colleges and finding that even after college, I've had kids call me up and said, thank you very much for the record book, because that has been so helpful with all the records, with all the volunteer work you do and everything. Everything is all right there. And the other thing, I can remember my daughter telling me that even when you're applying for a job, you're sitting around a large table. What do you all have common? Do you know each other? And it was really something. How many kids were in 4-H? And you could, say, hey, this is what we did. Did you go to Upham Woods? Things like that. Yeah.
It really is. It's interesting how many people you happen to run into who have some connection with 4-H.
Yes.
So it's pretty cool. So you mentioned a minute ago about record books and how much that helps with getting into college and different things like that. Can you talk briefly about what record books are?
Well, record books are, the first year is the hardest, is getting through. You're recording everything that you have done in 4-H. Everything in 4-H you end up getting a point for. And what happens is your points add up, and as soon as you get a certain number of points, you can earn your bronze medal, your silver medal, and your gold medal. And not only that, this also helps you in regard to getting to Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and Washington, D.C.
Okay. So then, with county fair, so if we can talk about that also. So when 4-Hers make projects throughout the year, like either at their club meetings or just on their own, then they have the opportunity to enter those in county fair every summer. And then they go through a judging process with their projects. So can you explain how the judging process works a little bit? Because I know you are a judge in other counties, correct?
That is absolutely correct, yes. Yes, and it's very interesting. And what happens is you have to look not only at the project, and you end up getting a blue, red, pink, and white ribbons, and also the grand and special merit also. Okay, and what happens is you get to go ahead and this is another way for the child to be able to talk to a judge or another, or like sometimes when they're just beginning, a stranger or whatever, and they have to more or less talk about how they went ahead and made the project. I think what is very, very nice about it is, especially in the beginning, is that sometimes these children, they may have a red, received more or less like a red ribbon, because it isn't perfect, because a blue ribbon is to be perfect. But the thing is, they can explain why something was very hard. They made a mistake. They learned from the mistake. You can talk yourself from a red to a blue ribbon just by explaining, this is what I have learned from that.
Right.
And that's extremely important.
Yeah, it really, all of 4-H, I think it's really about the learning process.
Correct.
So I know there's a couple mottos or slogans, but I think one of them is learn by doing. So
yes,
definitely find that in a lot of places throughout 4-H, whatever you're doing. So. So what's stuck with 4-H through the years? What's made you stay even after your kids have grown up and moved on?
Number one, I love working with children. And I think this is why, well, I love to teach, and, why not help another individual to learn? More or less looking all towards the positive area.
Yeah. And I'm sure, I don't know how you'd begin to try and estimate the numbers, but just how many kids you've helped through the years with 4-H and, all the things that you've been able to teach them directly or indirectly through the years. So it's pretty amazing.
Well, and not only that, but you have to, and this just came to my mind, it's just like if you go ahead and throw a pebble into a water, and you help one, and the ripple, and you end up with the ripple effect.
Yeah.
You just hope by helping one, they will go ahead and teach others. And I would say, I do know quite a few of our 4-Hers have become teachers.
Yeah.
And it really is delightful to go ahead and see that.
Yeah. What is a favorite project that you've done with 4-H, or just a favorite project that is offered in.
Okay, that is there is, well, whatever you do, you know what I mean, because like photography, definitely, all my kids, they all, from little on had to take pictures. And even to this day, when we're together or whatever, there's a 4-H picture. It's really, it's hilarious, especially looking at the clouds or whatever. But the thing is that's very important is, I had, three boys and a girl, and what ended up happening, how do you keep boys interested? I didn't do woodworking, but the thing is, I did learn how to make model rockets. We have tons of model rockets in our house. All my grandchildren, everybody knows how to make model rockets, shoot them off, and the whole bit. And it's, it has become one of our pastimes. So that's been a tradition in our family, which is also with 4-H. So very much so. And now, who would have thought that I'd be doing model rockets? But this is what you do.
That's what happens in 4-H. You go in for one thing and you end up doing something completely different and
That's
loving
right.
it, and you do it for years and years and years.
Yes.
So we talked a little bit about different 4-H activities and some of the different trips. So what's been like a favorite trip that that you've been involved with or that you know about through 4-H that you want 4-H youth to experience? I know you said you hope every person who has the chance to go to Washington, D.C., that they'll go. But, basically what's the 4-H activity or trip that you would hope that every 4-H youth would be able to go on, and why?
Okay, well, first of all, I would say definitely Madison, because that's your very, very first trip.
Okay,
and I
Madison,
think
Madison is the State 4-H Youth Conference in Madison.
Right. And the reason why is because you get to go ahead and get a taste of college life when you're in 7th and 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead and you actually are able to go ahead and take, more or less a 3-hour class.
Yeah.
And constantly, and there's about 50 some different subjects you can pick from, and this is like a 3-day experience.
Yeah.
And it is just absolutely outstanding, and learning the buildings and getting a taste of UW-Madison, I think it is just absolutely outstanding. I think it's a very good stepping stone to the other trips.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's interesting that you bring up Madison too, and the different workshops that are available. Since we're doing an oral history interview, because Madison is where I first learned about oral history, because I ended up taking a workshop on there the year that I went to Madison. So that's funny. It's just you go and you learn something, and then you end up just using those skills and doing it again and again and again. So just keeps on giving. So what are some of the skills that a young person can learn by being in 4-H? So we talked a little bit about, like, they can learn how to be leaders and public speaking. What are some of the other skills that they could learn? Like, why would a kid who maybe isn't real sure if they should join 4-H or not, why should they join?
Probably to learn what there is out of life, and that would be like, Okay, well, I'm trying to think. The thing is, we definitely do need more leaders. You know, I'm trying to think if a child wanted to learn music. Like I said, I did the rocket. There's also, if you wanted to learn more on trains, you wanted to learn more with model cars. Maybe something to do in with computers. Sometimes you've got computer leaders to help you out with that.
Mhm.
I do know at one time we did do robotics. We did do that. The only thing is we needed more leaders for that.
Yeah.
Also, learning photography. Learning, you know, when to take a picture, when not to take a picture. Things like that.
Yeah. So, looking back, how much growth have you seen with the 4-H program in Waukesha County, and where do you
I'm sorry,
think
what was
4-H
the
will go in the
question?
future? Pardon?
Okay, repeat that question, please.
So, looking back, how much growth have you seen with the 4-H program in Waukesha County, and then where do you think 4-H is headed in the future?
Oh, that is really a tough question. 4-H has definitely changed.
Yeah.
We definitely have new leaders. Well, it's going to be interesting how much these leaders go ahead and touch base, get a hold of children in the schools. I think it's important because a lot of times, well, scouting is more or less a competition. Soccer, baseball, things like that.
Yeah. So sports a lot of times get picked
Yes,
over
right.
other,
Right.
activities like 4-H or scouting.
Right.
Yeah.
So I really haven't, so it all really, really depends on in regard to the leaders.
Yeah.
So.
It's good though. I mean, I'm seeing people that I've known like in our club or just in other clubs where they've graduated out of 4-H. You can be in 4-H. Is it age 4 or 5 for Clover Buds?
Yes, that is correct.
Is it 4?
Yes.
Okay.
4.
Yeah. So they can be age 4 through 19 or their first year of college.
Right.
And so I've seen kids who have aged out or, have been in other clubs and have aged out, but they come back and they, will teach a project meeting or they will just help a kid one-on-one with their project. Like my brother, he's going to school for electrical engineering, and he's been getting together with one of the younger boys in our club who I think he's 8 now.
Right.
And he's been helping him with a computer design project.
Right.
So,
right. And that is
different
super.
things like that. So
right.
kids do come back and, eventually I would hope that the kids who had great experiences in 4-H will come back when they have kids and want to pass that on to them. Because we do have, a lot of families that we run into where the parents and the kids come to check out the club or something, and you ask them if they know about 4-H, or you start explaining it to them, and then you find out that they were in 4-H when they were kids, and they've, gone through, they know all the ropes. They've gone through the record books and the trips and all the different things that 4-H has to offer, and that made such an impression on them and meant so much to them that now they're bringing their kids back so that they can have those same experiences. So. So
right.
So I think really the future of 4-H rests in, the kids that are in it now because they're the they're the leaders of the future. So
Yes, definitely. Oh, and one other thing is that's the other aspect that we have done in the past, and that was basically many years ago, and where we definitely do need more leaders, and that's because we do have a basketball tournament. And I went ahead and I used to run that for 10 years. I was the assistant for the basketball tournament, and we normally have that in March.
yeah.
And so we do have basketball, and I do think that in the future they do plan on having a volleyball tournament also. I think that is going to be coming up also.
Oh, interesting.
But of course,
that would be popular.
But of course, we definitely need leaders for that also.
Right.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. That seems to be the thing with so many organizations is they're great organizations and they have so much to offer, but everybody's lives are so busy right now, so it's hard to find people to step up and take charge of something.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So, well, is there anything else that you would like to talk about, or anything we missed? Any stories or memories or anything else that you'd like to share?
Well, no, I really I don't know what I do though for it. It has been a very great experience. Especially working with my kids and my grandkids, and meeting new people, and how the leaders in the past have become very good friends. And I ended up, the very good friends, they don't even live here, they live in Utah, and ends up calling me, and then I ended up going to Alaska with them. And so I mean, you end up having friends you're going to have for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And it's just really something special.
Yeah.
Oh, it just dawned on me now. I'm so pleased also that the Cleveland Challengers is able to help out with at the library doing the garden. And this past year, we remember we learned a little bit more about butterflies, how butterflies are going to be existent unless we get the proper flowers.
Yeah.
And things like that. It's unbelievable, all the different things that we learned.
Yeah, and just to go into a little bit more about that, our 4-H club has had a garden, like it's a community garden that the New Berlin Library offers, and we've been able to plant things in the garden for, what is it now? Is this maybe the 3rd or 4th year?
Right.
Track. But it's been a few years, and then this year they wanted everybody, they added more boxes, so now I think there's maybe 6 raised beds, and they got, different groups to do different beds, and we have, I believe, 2 beds this year. And they wanted people to do different themes. So somebody has like a salsa garden, so they planted tomatoes and herbs and hot peppers and everything that you'd want in salsa, like all those ingredients are planted in their beds. And then our theme that the club picked was a butterfly garden. So we're learning about all the different plants and about butterflies and just everything we need to know to do that. And we're very lucky. One of the adult volunteers that we have in our club, who is the grandmother of one of our 4-H members, she is a master gardener, so she took on leading the gardening project. So she's been able to pass on a lot of her knowledge to the club, which is really great. So
right. Oh, yes, very good. Oh, and then the other thing that we have to say that we have done extremely well in, and that is cleaning up National Avenue.
Right.
That we did receive an award for keeping National Avenue cleaned up for over 25 years.
Wow.
So that was, that's been a very, very nice award that we received also.
Yeah. And that's it's a stretch of National Avenue between, I think, Moreland Road and is it Highway I?
Yes.
In New Berlin.
Yes.
So we do that twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall.
Right. Mhm.
Great.
Yep.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add, or?
No, I think that, and I am just so honored that, Emily, that you have taken this on. I'm so pleased, because I think it's very, very important. History is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to go ahead and take this on, I think is absolutely excellent.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
And thank you for letting me interview you.
Okay.
So.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay. And okay. Take care. Good luck on your project.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Talk to you soon. Okay. Bye.